Welcome to Highlighting the Journey, where we dive deep into the stories that shape us. From real estate moguls to innovators, entrepreneurs, from life-changing pivots through breakthrough moments, we're here to uncover the paths that lead to success and the obstacles that build character and the insights that inspire action. And I'm your host, Dan the Podcast Man. Today, we're highlighting another incredible journey. Hey everybody, it is Dan the Podcast Man, and welcome to another episode of Highlighting the Journey. Today's guest is the one and only Mike Deangelis.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. So my name is Mike Deangelis. I'm the founder and managing partner of EquiQuest. We're a private hard money real estate lender.
So you deal with a lot of money, you're telling me right here.
I wouldn't say a lot, but a significant amount. How's that sound?
It's a good amount. It's what I know, so how we formally met, and I like to kind of give people the information of how important networking is. We met at the East Coast RIA, which is the investor group for realtors, and I've always see your name pop up, and then it says private lender. I was always staring at this guy. It's like, he's gonna give me money. He's gonna offer me money.
Yeah.
So so I know you established this, but before we dive into all those aspects of it, you know, I wanna dive into your backstory and where you started. Let's start as simple as where'd you go to school, college, and then where'd you transition from that point, Mike?
Yeah, no. So I was born in the Bronx, moved to Long Island as a baby, the youngest of four boys. And I actually went to Bayshore High School, not too far away from where we're sitting right now. And, you know, and I'll admit right up front, I was not a really great student at high school, junior high, really at any point. I just didn't focus. It was about working, playing some sports, and riding my motorcycle and cruising around in cars.
When did you start riding a motorcycle?
Well, I try to put my finger on it. Maybe 7 years old. Yeah.
So like I'm Italian, and in Sicily, like, that's actually normal. Yeah. So it's actually normal, and actually, like a 14-year-old can get a Vespa. And so it was pretty normalized to get behind the wheel of a motorcycle. But 7 years old in America, don't hear that too often.
Yeah, well, the area that I grew up in, we actually had some woods in the close area, so it was a dirt bike, right? So I could ride off road, and in that time, and I'm really aging myself then, the stores were closed on Sunday, so you had every parking lot available for riding your go-karts and motorcycles. You had just a big open plot of blacktop to ride in. So it was a ton of fun back then.
Did the police chase after you?
Never. Seriously, never. Friends? Absolutely. Yeah, I'm the good guy.
No, I know you're the good guy. What I liked you mentioned about your story, right off the bat, you mentioned that you were a little rough around school. You weren't this student, and now you're a private money lender.
Yeah.
And I hear these stories of people where they're not great at school. I heard the other days they dropped out of school, and they actually are a private money lender too. And I believe that when it comes to somebody trying to do something, yes, education is important. I am not knocking education by any means, but it's like, it's either you're a doer or you're not.
Yeah. And I call that, I think one of the words that best describes it is grit, right? Either you have grit and you know how to take action and get things done. But I quickly learned, Dan, that
how'd you learn?
I quickly learned. Really what in essence happened to me was I graduated high school, like my parents asked, Bayshore High School, like my parents asked me to do. And I quickly learned that working in a factory, drilling holes in the winters when I wasn't landscaping for my brother was no fun at all. And something clicked when I was in that factory, and I said, this is not going to be my life. I hit a very, very untechnical, just factory, literally drilling holes in a piece of furniture all day long. And I said, this is not going to be my life. Okay, what am I going to do? And in college with the goal of making
How
the
old were
dean's
you?
list.
What was
19.
You were 19 years
Yeah.
old, so you had the kind of this like little bit of basically an epiphany, like, okay, not accepting this.
Not accepting
Not
it.
accepting this. So now you're moving on to college.
Yeah, moving on to college, enrolled with the goal of making the dean's list. Graduated.
So you had a goal, right off the bat.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, making the dean's list, and then graduating with my associate's degree from Suffolk Community College, and then ultimately getting a transfer grant and getting a bachelor's degree in marketing from New York Institute of Technology.
Did you make the dean's list?
I didn't. I made the dean's list.
Yes.
I absolutely
Yes.
multiple times.
Hell yeah.
Multiple times.
There we go.
And graduated with a great degree, and that was really the point for me where I learned what discipline was about. So how do you go to class on time? How do you pass the class? How do you get good grades? How do you learn? How do you finish a semester very successfully, Dean's List, i.e., and how do you actually graduate and then launch into the career that I knew could create the life that I wanted to.
So there was a point in all this, your story, the life that you wanted. What was that life for you?
Yeah, so I was really, really fortunate. I had, great parents, 3 great older brothers. My dad is a retired prototype machinist from Grumman Aerospace.
You worked for Grumman?
Yeah.
Did he work on the spaceship and everything?
Yeah, all of that stuff.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That docuseries, I don't know when it was. It was on HBO or whatever it was when they did the whole entire thing at Grumman's and when they built that. Oh man, that's incredible.
Yeah, so definitely some Grummanite roots.
Did you ever go to the facility and everything? Or?
Yeah, I've been to the facility, but probably the deepest. I have a close friend of mine that his family's roots are really, really deep. His grandfather and his father are Grummanites. That's what people
Grummanites.
And when he got out of the Navy, he worked on the F-14. Which he was trained on how to work on when he was in the Navy. And I actually saw the F-14 and Calverton final production before it actually got released to the Navy. It's giving me goosebumps right now because, you're in this huge hangar. The planes are very intimidating, and then you look into the wing, and there are the Gatling guns. And it's giving me chills just talking about it right now.
Of course, you're looking at a weapon.
Yeah, you're looking at a weapon, that was created on Long Island for the protection of the United States,
Of course, yep.
And, so that was really my most upfront, experience, in the Grumman.
Wow.
Grumman.
Before we keep going with the story, did you ride it? Did you get in it?
No, I didn't.
I feel like you know how to fly planes for some reason.
No, not me, man. I love everything that burns gas, and I like to, go in commercial airlines, and I've been in a couple of private jets and all, but I just don't really have the interest in being a pilot.
No.
but everything else that burns gas. Yeah, okay.
You
thanks.
got the look. I mean, you definitely have a pilot. You got a pilot's look.
So,
So what was so my original question was, when you were envisioning saying what I want my life to become, so like what was that back then? What was the vision look like?
So my dad taught me and my brothers all of the trades, and including being a machinist, really how to work with our hands. So we all but fixer-uppers. We were all, when I say fixer-uppers, our first homes, major renovation. The house that we grew up in was meticulous. Everything was redone in the house. And, I really wanted to take those skills and apply it to corporate America. And, my thought was that, I had those skills, but I also loved business, right? And then I ultimately fell in love with the profession of sales. So basically I took everything my dad taught me and my brothers taught me in terms of, how to maintain a building, how to construct a building. And then I spent really my whole entire career selling to the trades and selling to building maintenance. That's what I did my whole entire career. Started as a sales rep and ended as VP of sales, running sales teams in North America.
Can you disclose the company or no?
Sure. I spent 27 years at Grainger Industrial Supply.
Grainger
Industrial Supply.
Oh, I know who they are. We order a lot of stuff from them.
Yeah, so the focus. I mean, on safety and
100%.
maintenance, repair, and operations. So I worked there for 27 years, started as a sales rep, helped them launch their e-commerce division, helped them launch their government division, and then, really watched that company go from about $2 billion to $10 billion, retired from there, and spent the next 5 years in sales leadership roles, VP, head of government sales for a couple of other companies.
So you floated around a little bit after
I retired. Yeah.
Is that technically retirement?
No.
You are. I know what you are. You're a person that will never retire.
Yeah. That's kind of what it's coming to. I'm not so crazy. My wife's. I don't think my wife's so crazy about it, but that's ultimately what it comes to. I like this stage because it's more relaxing. It's on my terms.
Everything's you.
And I'm really focused on the investing, the real estate, business ventures, and I do it at my pace.
The thing is, and I think ultimately because even myself, people always say, I'm going to work 40 years and I'm going to retire. I'm like, retire? Retire from what? You need something to do. You have to, I feel like you always have to be doing something, creating. And what you're doing right now is the best part. You're still working, creating for you. It's yours. There's no one's going to take that from you except yourself. But I'm just saying, it's just like there's a different mentality when a company or a business is run by the one that owns it. And correct me if I'm wrong, man. I mean, it's like one of the most satisfying things you could possibly do.
Yeah, it really, really is. And I'm enjoying it tremendously. It started as a side hustle, and then about 2.5 years in, started in a side hustle May 2020. So it's a little over 5 years, and then I said, it's time. I can leave corporate and do my own thing.
Gotcha. But you still haven't answered my question.
Yeah, what's that?
What was the life that you envisioned at that young age that you wanted freedom? What was the life that was saying that Mike was supposed to be living in 20 years?
So what I realized, so it was really simple. I wanted to meet a great woman. I wanted to own a house on Long Island. And
American dream.
Yeah, I wanted to have the American dream just like the rest of my family has had. And I wanted to have a successful career applying the skills my dad taught me. But at the end of the day, keeping my hands clean while I'm doing it. I did not want to actually be hands-on in the trades.
Oh, wow.
I did it for 10 years, from 12 years old, mowing lawns when my brother started as an entrepreneur, one of the first landscapers on Long Island. And I did it until I graduated college at 22. And, I really wanted to be, and I did it for myself, but I also did it for my parents because, I was the first one to go to college in my family.
Big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal when the first like my brother Michael was the first one to go to college and graduate. And my family, immigrants, when he graduated, my father was in tears because it's the GM Brown family has come from another country, and here comes our first college graduate, and it's powerful. It's a very big thing.
Yeah, it is. So that was it, and so that was it. Really, to have that white collar job, applying all the trades to my profession, be successful, be in a great marriage, have a home, and really live the American Long Island dream. That was it.
And you're living that right now.
I am. The one thing I did realize, is that I'm always raising the bar on myself. Another thing that probably makes my wife a little crazy, but when I got to that point, I was like, okay, what's next?
The bar is always going to be rising.
Yeah.
For people like you and me, and my wife is, luckily for me, my wife sees that. It's like, when's it going to stop? And she doesn't think when it's going to stop. She knows ultimately, because we do have these moments where we're like, we are fighting, we are arguing. It is taking a toll on the family. What happens is my mindset goes somewhere else, and I'm so focused on that. As before we started this podcast, I was talking about things that I've been doing personally, and it does have an effect on the family. Where yes, I need to be reeled in and say, I'm about the business, but my family comes first, and I have to be constantly reminded by her with that. It's extremely tough.
Yeah, no, I'm here, but when my kids were very young because of my focus. Nancy was able to stop working, right? Originally, it was like, I want two incomes, so I could have this life. But I was so driven that, Nancy and I were able to make a decision at one point is I'm just going to continue with my corporate career, make more money. And she was going to stay home with the kids, which was a really tremendous blessing,
I've worked, even if I didn't get to where I am with the real estate, with even when where my current W-2 status, and I stayed exactly in my last position, me and my wife would be actually fine. It would have been extremely tight, very budgeted, and we did it for a while until I knew I wanted to break free, because that's who I believe should be raising my kids. Is the mother of my children, and I feel bad for this country, and I feel bad for my friends and individuals where they need the dual income just to afford daycare, and it breaks my soul because I don't believe that as a human being. I believe it as a human being that, as a man, and I say it frankly as it is, as a man, as a provider, I provide for my family. My wife is the caregiver, stay at home. Not to say my wife can't go out and do things. Ultimately, I want, when my kids get older, she's running my real estate company. She knows that.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, she's running that. I have my own personal aspects of that, but it's great that when we hear tradition, and I was raised that way too. My dad did the same thing, but my dad worked from 6 a.m. to 11 o'clock, almost 7 days a week, and invest in real estate to make that life where my mom was able to stay home and take care of 3 kids. It's tough. It was tough. And that was in the 90s too. That was, it's not today. Today's like unheard of now.
Yeah, so that was one of the really positive things, from that drive that I have that we were able to put in place, and it was a great feeling to be able to do that.
Yeah, 100%. So you have mentioned a lot about spending about 10 years of actually doing physical labor. Would you be here today if you have not gone through that process?
Really, really, really great question. No, right? I don't think I would have been as hardworking, right? Because I was working hard, right?
Of course.
Physically, a little bit mentally. I was building some discipline and making money and starting a foundation on my life, right? So no.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I went through the same process. My father, I was swinging hammers since I was 6 years old, working, digging, shoveling concrete. And then I got into a position where I didn't have to use my hands as much. But even my recent rental properties, even the ones you came to, I physically did the house myself. And yes, there's this satisfaction, pride that goes along with it, but then it's also understanding the elements behind that. It's like anything else. It's like what's that TV show where the CEO goes back to going as a regular line worker to Undercover Boss?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So something like that, where the CEO maybe has been that position for 15 years and he's done that work, but forgot about what's it like to be a regular worker. But that's the foundational, the price that you have to pay. I think people also fail to realize, I just want to be at this position at this. But you doing that hard work, first, the discipline aspect of it, and then also saying, I ain't going back. I'm not going back to that. There's another way. I have to figure it out.
Yeah. That's it. And and it's a good feeling to go through that process of that 10 years and the next 10 years, but it's also a good feeling when you come out the other end and you actually.
Was there ever a moment where you felt like you're going to quit?
Yeah.
I say had those moments.
Yeah, plenty of times, and my coach taught me that resistance, because that's equals resistance, right? When you're quitting, it's just your natural instincts around fight and flight is say, hey, I'm going to quit because this is getting really difficult. I'm afraid, right? So I'm gonna bolt, right? I'm gonna leave. So many times, but I never gave up. I just keep on coming at it to the point right now where my my coaches taught me, like I can feel the minute that like my brain says and my gut says quit, and then I can determine like, okay, is this real fear or is this just the universe giving me resistance that I need to push through to get to my goal?
So you have a coach.
Yes.
And what does this coach provide? It sounds like accountability, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, he's an anthological coach.
Wow.
It's really a life coach, right? He's super, super talented. Yeah.
That is so vital. I mean, coaching is such a key component if you're trying to be this entrepreneur or trying to break out the norm, because those fear elements, as you mentioned them, is what stops people. And if you don't have that person behind you saying, stop listening to the BS, keep moving forward, it's not real. It's not real. The other thing about fear too is like you're mentioning fear. And what's funny is it's like, you might ask yourself this question, you go, what am I supposed to do today? And you have all these fears. Those are the things you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and my coach told me, yes, absolutely. And if you prioritize those and they fit into what your vision is for your life and what your purpose is for your life, it gets super, super clear on those are the things you need.
So yeah, luckily you were able to prepare, go forward with all that. A lot of people don't. A lot of people get scared and they plateau and they stay because they know it's comfortable. I think comfort kills. I really do. I'm even at my age, I really have learned the process of loving the process, loving the fear component. Because every fear component that I have experienced so far, and yes, there has been moments where, oh man, it did go bad, but most of the times, that fear component, what I was afraid of, and then I get to the other side, it was just like, I was afraid of what? And I just like, that was, how silly of me, how silly of having this mindset, but it's a major problem when it comes to that. But there's people like you that go forward with it. So, corporate America, jumping around. How do we start the side hustle? How did that come into fruition?
Yeah, so I always had this vision. I say always had the vision. At some point, I can't determine exactly where, I created this vision that I was going to be investing and running investments and creating wealth.
How did you get the knowledge of that? Was there something as going through corporate America that you were probably seeing things that like, oh man, I'm learning maybe the tools of the trade or trade secrets? Is there something there that kind of got you the little bug of what's called investing?
Yeah. So I think the first bug that I got with investing was one of my older brothers. We started investing in mutual funds, dollar cost averaging into mutual funds. I was in my early 20s, just starting my career, and I started to see the effect of compound interest.
Good feeling.
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
When you watch that happen, you're like, what?
And then I started reading and researching The Millionaire Next Door, Think and Grow Rich.
Great books.
Yeah, and started reading all this and started figuring out, what it really takes to create wealth, and then started really focusing on creating wealth, which is really, a net worth. What's my net worth? Yep. And then I started looking at things of like, okay, we own home, really, really happy to be there. But why am I going to pay the bank $300,000 in interest over the next 20 years? Why do I need to do that? I'll just pay it off. Bang. Figured out how to do that. So things like that really kind of sparked my interest. But then when I was in corporate America, I discovered that the organization that I worked in, if I get into leadership, they would start handing me stock options. And then I got addicted.
Oh, good.
And then I got addicted to that, And, if you would have asked me when I was 12 years old mowing lawns, I would have been like, stock options? What's a stock? Probably when I was 18, I wouldn't have been able to even tell you what a stock was, maybe, and here I am striving to get into leadership, run sales teams, and be compensated with stock options.
So you mentioned you read books. So I would, at this portion of your life, you're married?
Yep.
Kids?
Yeah.
How did you incorporate the time to invest in yourself? How did you get the time to sit down, read the book, and say, something's not making sense, I need to educate myself? There has to be some component there where you had to get to that next level and remove maybe leisure time or, sacrifice, best of the better way of saying it.
So I didn't realize back then the power of getting up at 5 a.m. and what you can accomplish in the morning. And but I did realize that after the kids went to bed, I had a window of time to myself, and I could either watch TV or I could read and educate myself. And a couple of days a week, I would read books and educate myself.
And the thing was, this wasn't like super complicated too. This was just something of just, hey, kids are there to sleep. I got 20 minutes. Let me just get a couple pages in. And I mentioned this, we did an event for Pocket Pete, and I had to give people, I wanted people like deliver a message. And my message was this: you got 24 hours in a day. Don't overcomplicate it. Ask yourself the question when you wake up in the morning: what can I do to better my life? And if it is 10 minutes of reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or that financial book, you have done better. And it's not that complicated. And we're talking about now compounding interest. That's compounding.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I never thought of it like that, but that's a good point.
You're compounding the time, because people don't realize too is that by doing this, you're investing in yourself, but it's not an overnight success story. It's not so like, here's a good question for you. Let's remove the financial books from you.
Okay.
You have been mowing lawns, you've been doing all that, and you just got into corporate America. Let's just say that. But all of a sudden, you get a check for $200 million handed to you right then and there. Would you know what to do with it?
I think I would. I actually, today, sitting here, I would.
Today, I know you would, but I'm just saying back then, giving young Michael a check for $200 million. What do you know actually what to do with $200 million?
I knew that there was a world out there where I could take that $200 million and invest it and earn compound interest.
But what do you like? What would you invest? How would you like? I
mean, the old Michael, I did not know about being in a limited partner and
what you know now.
What I know now, right? I did not know about private lending. I didn't know about that, but I knew. Because I was keeping my eye and listening closely, that there was things out there, and Robert Kiyosaki mentions in his book, where Rich Dad said to him, hey, I know you want to be in this investment level that I'm at, but you just can't simply enter because you want to. You have to earn it. And what I think he was talking about was being an accredited investor. So you're immediately an accredited investor once you have $1 million in net worth, right? So $200 million, you could show up to the event that I was at in New York City in May with that and be considered a family office and have access to a plethora of unbelievable investments, really anything on God's green earth that you could invest in are at these events. But you would never know about that until A, you searched it out, B, you were an accredited investor or maybe had $200 million put in your bank account.
The reason I mentioned that is because there was a few big moments in my life where I hit a lot of money doing cryptocurrency. I made like $200,000 one time on a cryptocurrency.
Wow.
Yeah. And I did some smart moves. One of the things was, and my wife made another $100,000.
Awesome.
Obviously, capital gains. We saved the reserves for that, and then my wife paid off all her student loans. It was incredible. But what happened is that I did save some aside, but then I started playing. I didn't know what the hell to do, and I didn't earn that money. Rightfully so. It was gambling. It was straight up gambling.
Yeah.
And what I noticed is that first I didn't know how I made the money. I clicked the mouse a few times and rolled the dice, and I made the money. And then ultimately, not to say I lost it all, but there have been moments too where I reinvested it, and there was times where it went back, like another cryptocurrency went up to another 85 grand, and my whole family, my cousins, because we were part of this online chat, they're like, Dan, you got to sell right now. I'm like, nah, I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna let it ride out. Negative $35,000 later.
Yeah.
But this is like, and now I personally don't gamble. I don't play those games anymore. If you gave me that money right now, like now I think back, like what would I have done with the 200 grand? It'd be like real estate. But now I took the time to educate myself. I was financially, I was not smart. I did not understand the value of a dollar. I didn't understand that money is, yes, it's value, but it's a tool. Do you know how to use the tool?
Yeah, it is amazing, and it intrigues me tremendously, and I love to talk about it. So thanks for all that, and you know, that's one thing. That's one thing that, you know, where my head is, like, you know, when people borrowing or any kind of venture, like I feel like I have a certain I guess a knowledge base that I'll pass on as we work together.
Of course,
which is fun.
So let's dive into it. We're gonna start from scratch here.
Yeah.
Okay. I am, and we have too. I there was a few times where I did reach out to you, but let's start from scratch. I'm Dan G. M. Brown, real estate investor. I flipped a few houses, and now I have a deal, and I'm looking to borrow money from you. What's that process look like? So what do I need to bring to Mike to get it, your first thumbs up, credibility, and then your comfort and okay to loan me out a certain amount of money?
Yeah, I mean, we're both Long Island. We have a relationship already. That's a really, really great place to start. You know, just like you initiated, hey, you know, stop by one of my properties. Let's grab a cup of coffee. You know, having that personal relationship, and so that's a big piece. You know, creating the credibility, showing who you are, and then from there, it's a pretty easy process. We start, you know, underwriting the property. Okay, Dan, what did you pay for the property? So what's the purchase price? What do you have for a construction renovation budget? Have you created a scope of work? Have you gotten construction budgets? And, you know, I'm not looking for anything other than a solid number that knows that, so that we both know that this is the real number and what it's going to cost for construction. From there, we look at the loan to value. The loan to value is those two numbers.
Yep.
Added in and then compared to the after repair value. So, you know, we're assuming
the ARV.
The ARV.
Yep.
We're assuming you've probably bought the property under value. The construction's going to be a value add, and from there we simply look at what is the ARV. You know, somebody like me is shooting for, and really the industry is about a 65% loan to value. So
pretty decent.
Yeah. And you know, from there it's pretty quickly you'll be doing you'll be borrowing, because they're only commercial loans with hard money and private lenders. They're only commercial loans. And,
okay.
So we'll get your LLC credentials. Might take a quick little peek at a credit report. I'm not going to run credit, but take a quick peek at a credit report. And then meaning I'm going to go out, do a quick drive-by on the property. Usually try to get that done in under a day, but usually try to get it done by the end of that
Reasonable.
day.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
I'm here on Long Island, get it done.
Listen, you know how long it takes to file for any type of mortgage or banker. The fact of the matter is that your process, the way you're explaining to me, you're just trying to get out as soon as possible. Like you know, I'm currently going through one of the loan process right now. We're in day 45 right now. You know?
Yeah. So it's anti-day 45 if we're there.
45.
You know, so my goal is to have a term sheet within 24 to 48 hours. Wow. On your, you know, in your inbox that you can review, ask any questions on, sign off on it. The money goes on the side for you. You send me back the signed term sheet with the contract.
So it goes into an escrow account?
That money at that point has not entered an escrow account quite yet,
okay,
but it is earmarked for you. It doesn't go to an escrow until we're ready to close.
So for your business purposes, this is just money saying this is a possible deal happening. Here comes the money from what you got, how you're managing it financially. I'm just going to throw a number: $500,000 set aside for Dan for his project, and then we'll see if we're going to proceed forward with it.
Yep. And the minute you sign that term sheet, we're proceeding forward. Money goes aside. You send me the contract. I send the contract and the term sheet with all the terms that we agreed on to my attorney. Our attorneys talk, and depending on title, we're closing very, very quickly.
Now, this whole process too, I'm assuming, well, it is a promissory note that I'm going to pay you back essentially, or you are technically the mortgage.
Correct.
So you're the mortgage. It's a mortgage that you have established. You're one of the best things I like to call the bank.
Yeah, that's the way to look at it. I mean,
the bank.
In essence,
I love that term.
You go down to the county records, and you'll see TD Bank and EquiQuest.
I love it.
Same placeholder. Yeah.
God. So with all that, it's incredible because a lot of people get turned off, or I always hear this: I don't have the money to do the real estate.
And that is like the thing that like makes me kind of crazy, because I hear that, and I'm so interested in helping people along.
Oh, I know you are. That's why you're on this podcast.
I really, truly am. And for me, that's like, hey guys, they didn't create the term other people's money for no reason, right? Somebody like myself, I'm eager to help new investors get started, and all. So yeah, you're going to need a little bit of seed money, right? A small little group of seed money.
Of course, you need some form of capital. It can't be zero. That's 100%.
Yes.
But like you said, you want to help others. When you do that, maybe this is the first time I'm asking you. I hope it is. But do you envision yourself as a little Michael, as a young Michael, saying, "Hey, I want to get out there and give a stab at it," and I'm looking for the person to give me that shot?
That is a really insightful.
Come on, man! What do you think I'm doing on here?
So my coach has walked me through the little Michael.
I like the little Michael.
Yeah, I never thought of it. So the answer sitting here has got to be an astounding yes, right?
Of course, yeah.
Because it took me a really long time to realize that people actually want to help other people.
100%.
It's not just about idolizing people. It's about those people that you idolize. There's a really good chance that they'll take you underneath your wing and mentor you.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't need to necessarily be a paid coaching environment, although if you find the right coach, it's gonna put you on the fast track. You can find somebody, some volunteer and some mentors that are doing out of the goodness of their heart that will help you along. So maybe I strived for that, never really had the way to find that, and are yearning for that now.
So like the beautiful thing behind it, and I am a big advocate for it. I just want to help people. I get more satisfaction of helping an individual than me gaining something. And I personally have learned that through my own ventures, not to dive into my story, but I just know it's the ultimate satisfaction when it comes to that. And to give somebody the opportunity now where I'm really at this, like, I feel like, and it's happened recently too, I'm sitting at this table, I'm watching the person in front of me, and I can either say yes or I could say no. And the power is in my hand. And obviously it has to be a calculated thing, but my calculations sometimes aren't right. But what was always right for me is my heart and my gut. And those two things, when they align perfectly and I don't have to think twice about it, and the answer is yes, obviously the calculations too, but to have that capability is oh man. It's like, I feel for me now, especially, because I'm in such a great position, and like even having the podcast, bringing people on, highlighting them. You just saw an individual walk out of here. He's a young kid, 25 years old, and I see the potential behind him. I want to highlight him. I want to show the world what this kid's got, and I get to say yes or no. And and what I was trying to say was, I feel like it's my responsibility now because I've been so blessed.
And you're still a young guy, and
I am.
to have that insight and be able to say that is really really amazing. You know, it took me a long time to kind of figure that out, and even to take the deep breath, because corporate America, you know, they'll keep you running,
Chew you up.
Yeah, you know, so it took me a little bit of time, you know, to actually be able to take to slow down and even be able to reflect like that, which is pretty amazing. But yeah, that is absolutely part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, is I want people to be able to look at this podcast and say, hey, if he did it, mowing lawns at 12 years old, basically barely graduated high school, and all of a sudden, you know, has this life that, you know, call it comfortable, call it nice, or whatever.
You have a life that is good, secure, and and you have developed your style, your own way, your own name, which I don't think you ultimately would have had that if you continued working for let's say you continue right now working for corporate America.
No, I would not. Yeah. So so I'm you know I'm all in on, you know, helping folks do that. I volunteer, I probably should say, you know, so New York Institute of Technology changed my life. So I swung back around, and I'm a volunteer mentor there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so it's really, really cool. So yeah, it's really, really important to me to be able to convey and doable for anybody, and that people like me want to help.
So I want to kind of maybe talk about a little bit, because we have hit some nice deep questions in conversation. I feel like I can have this conversation with you, and where I'm going with this, because of your attitude, because of the nature and how you feel, and you want to help others, and I don't think there's really the portion so much of like, what can I get back? You know, like, oh, I want this back. Of course, you're running a business. You need to make money. I'm not discrediting that. What I'm trying to say is that you're saying that you're a mentor and you're offering help. Don't you find that when you do these things, that more things just start coming your way?
Yeah, you know, no doubt about it. It takes a little bit of time to get the momentum, but yeah, and it's sometimes it gets a little, you know, as the word gets out, and I go to events, and then all of a sudden I have 3 people that want to mentor with me. You know,
well,
so that
yes,
got a little
there's only
overwhelming.
so much you can do.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But what I was trying to say is, like, when I have noticed, the more I've been giving back, because people call me and ask me for real estate advice. I'm not a coach. I'm not a mentor, but I can help you. I could tell you what I personally know and what I recommend, and I'll stay within what's in my wheelhouse. This is what I know.
Yeah.
And that information is free. You know, but where I could be charging people and saying, hey, listen, you want me to mentor? And I can absolutely do that. And I can show them the exact process, what I do. But there's something about me right now is just like, I'm not interested. What you need, but if you need help, no problem. Give me a call.
Yeah, and that's the same approach that I'm taking it as well. And yeah, you know, you have, I guess, what we're calling, you could call it a lot of different things, but just really positive energy around you, and people want to be around.
That's also the other thing. That's why I love always talking with you. Is you're one of those people in my life that I really like. I know we don't talk all the time, but you're part of my professional support group. Where I know if I wanted a deal tomorrow, I know I can call you and I give you the proper information. You feel good about it. I know I can get a loan from you pretty damn quick. And
Absolutely.
And I tell my wife all the time. Like I sit there, I'm like, I got the money. We got the money. But like going back to starting in real estate, saying like the portion of that where you don't need a lot of money. How can we facilitate something like that? So let's say I have 50 grand in my pocket. The house costs $500,000. How can I work with you to kind of get to purchase this house? Well, can you? Is that too complicated right now? Or?
No, let's dive into it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's a good starting point. Like trying to, because I want to show people what Mike is all about, and like you don't need a lot, and Mike is your bridge to getting to maybe to that first rental property or that first house.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. So the loans that I do are going to put you in that rental property for 12 months to do your renovations, to get your CO, and to get your tenants in, and you're going to refinance it into a DSCR loan. just to kind of clarify. The loans that I do are short-term for somebody that's going to buy a property, renovate it, and fix and flip it.
How long is what's your longest loan?
Yeah, so they're 12-month loans, 12-month mortgages. In some circumstances, we can do an extension. The way the real estate market is on Long Island, it's very rare. Things are selling so quickly, that anybody even needs an extension. But really, we're talking about a 12-month loan, with the option of an extension if need be, if, permit gets delayed or something like that. But again.
So what the person needs to do is able to calculate first, making whatever. Let's pick a flip that they're gonna maybe flip a house for $300,000. Okay, they borrow the money for you for whatever percentage that might be. That person is gonna sell that house, make a profit off it, pay your loan back with interest.
Yes,
and then they collect the profits. So,
correct.
And have you been able to also, like, even somebody new, have you walked them through that and kind of coach them, or that's too much? You want that investor that just knows their stuff?
No, I want to coach people.
Oh, there you go, man.
It fits into the mentoring piece, As long as somebody's serious and, they're willing to do the work and, are willing to take some advice. Yeah, I want to absolutely work.
They gotta be teachable, and they have to also. I think a lot of people take this the wrong way. Criticism, and not in a bad way, but I'm trying to improve you. I tell people all the time, tell me how the podcast is. Seriously, let me know how it is. I want to improve. Don't be shy. It's only going to make me better.
So if somebody's motivated, right? So
Yep.
you need to have the drive, you need to have the motivation, right? And they come to me and they say, "Hey, Mike, I want to be an investor." My first question is going to be, like, do you have an LLC, right? Because you're going to need it, and I think it's a critical piece, right? Going through the process to get an LLC, it's super easy. We all know that, but at least it's.
I'm going to explain how easy it is. You need an attorney. Do not go on the websites. Do not make an LLC. I did that before. I actually had to pay my attorney double because to fix the corrections. Because when you make an LLC, there's so many elements. I'm just going to keep it super simple. But please, when you develop these type of things, do not go through these third-party companies online and all this riffraff. Go to an attorney, go to a CPA, go to the professionals when it comes to this, and you gotta pay the price. And it's really, and then, like, I'm at the point where, like, how many LLCs? I think I'm at like 7 LLCs, and every time it's just like, open it. I just tell my attorney, just make the LLC.
Yeah, you're going to have everything that you need. The big thing for me is, so you're going to need the operating agreement and all of that, and your attorney is going to have that complete. Attorney or CPA is going to have that for you. So go through that process, and that process is going to do a couple of things for you. It's going to start creating the team, right? So you're going to have to go to an attorney, and you're going to have, or a CPA, and those people you're going to need on your team. So I'm going to ask, do you have so you're going to LLC, you're going to put a team in place. I'm your money. You're going to need an accountant. You're going to need an attorney, a real estate attorney.
Estate attorney, not a family, not an injury. They say they do real estate. Please make sure you get a person that does it day in and day out, because there's a massive difference. I almost lost a deal on one of my previous attorneys, which I love. He's a family attorney, but he could do the transaction, but not heavy real estate investing.
Yep. Yeah. Great point. So you're building, somebody that's, either started building or has built the team, and I'll be part of that team, right? And then I'm going to ask you basic questions like, do you have a deal calculator, right? That calculates holding costs, purchase price, and construction. And I would say construction, right? So somebody in construction that's an expert in the type of renovations and construction work that you need. Not building the Taj Mahal, you're not building a Class A, high-end property on 99% of the flips. Somebody that's an expert in fix and flip construction.
Right.
And then once you have that, again, we make sure the numbers are in line. We put and again, I'm oversimplifying it, but a good calculator, which is holding costs, purchase price, and construction. We can pretty much after that, go into a term sheet and get
What's a term sheet?
A term sheet is a document. It's about a page and a half that spells out the specific terms of the mortgage that you're going to enter in. So it's going to include who the commercial borrower is. So what is your LLC name? What is your name and any partners' names that you have? Because you will be not only borrowing in your LLC, the way the mortgage works is you'll also be putting a personal guarantee on the mortgage, right? And then within the term sheet, it's going to say how much of the purchase price is being funded, how much of the construction is being funded, and it'll have some of the details that we hit on already. What is the actual length of the loan, the mortgage? Again, that's that 12-month term. Who the lender is, so that'll be me, and then it'll spell out specifics about you having proper insurance in place to protect you in case somebody gets hurt, or the place burns down, or
builder's risk policy.
Bingo. So it's going to require things of that nature. And there's probably some other details in there, but it's the details of enough information that you're going to be able to say, I know exactly what I'm getting into. I know exactly what I'm going to be paying for a monthly interest payment. Yep. I'm going to sign off on that, and I'm going to feel really, really comfortable that I'm in contract on a house and I've got my first deal.
Yeah. So when you do the mortgage and everything, that makes you first lien on the house.
Yeah, great point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means that if something goes wrong, all fails, you take the house, more or less.
Yeah. I mean, that's in essence.
I'm just talking about worst case scenario. What is the worst thing that can happen? Has that happened?
It has not. Okay, so
good.
I've been lending. For a little over 5 years, I've been really, really fortunate that I've been lending in a really, really strong, real estate market. Do I ever want it to happen? Do I think with the relationships that I have with my borrowers, do I think we're going to get to a really bad situation where we have to talk about an exit plan that doesn't make oodles and oodles of money? Potentially, but we'll work on that together, and we'll get through it if anything goes south. But so far, no bad loans.
Great. And I know of you is that when you do loan out money, you do your research. You understand the property. Isn't it true that you have told people, hey, this is not a good deal? I highly suggest you should step away from it. So we're not even just getting a private money lender. We're getting a person, when we work with you, Mike, I'm talking about you, is that fully understands the real estate investment world and saying whether this is a good deal or not a good deal.
Yeah, so, I understand construction. I think I hit on that a little bit earlier. Yep. I have flipped and bought construction and bought land and had various real estate transactions. So I understand, what a good deal looks like. I understand all the key elements. And I do give some strong guidance to folks on. Hey,
sure, you want to call it that way? Go ahead. Truth.
I'll tell you the truth.
Tell them the truth, but yes.
And then it's got to the point right now where people will say, hey, Mike, is this a good deal? And I'll be like, I think you know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Let's look at the numbers again. You know,
of course.
But yes, I am absolutely that person to lean on. I don't know, in some of the things that I'm putting out now, I call it, I'm trying to be the co-pilot,
I got you. Yeah. So I want to talk about a bunch of stuff that Mike has mentioned, but I want to break it down to nice, simple terms. Okay. Yeah. So everybody is able to utilize Mike. So very simply, Mike wants a connection. Link up with him, have that cup of coffee, have that conversation, establish that relationship. That's first step. Yep. Next step, building your team. You're going to need a CPA. You're going to need an attorney. You're going to need a contracting crew that you are going to trust, okay, that is insured and knows what they're doing. Okay, these are the key elements of an investing. So when you find that house and that deal that makes sense, you bring all that together, and you had that conversation with Mike, not just once, but multiple times. And then Mike's going to say, you know what? This is a good deal. Are you going to green light that?
100%. Yeah.
So I just want to really kind of bring to my audience the capabilities and the power, what is behind you, and you don't have to go through banks, all this underwriting, credits. Give me 12 months of paycheck. Well, not 12 months, but you know what I'm saying. Your like all this stuff. There might be some various things you do ask for. I don't want to disclose everything about your business, but this is the process that even I experienced when I was trying to funnel a deal through Mike through there. That what your capabilities are. So yeah, I just wanted to break it down simply to the new investor, to somebody that can reach out to you and say, God, I want to hook up with Mike.
Yeah, and I try to be ultra fast and very, very simple and very, very focused on giving folks the ability to leverage my expertise around doing business on Long Island and Long Island real estate.
All right, we talked so much business, and we'll come back in a few minutes. We still got some time. What are your hobbies, Mike? What do you like to do? I want to know a little bit about your life. So what is the average? So what is waking up? Not today, because today did the podcast. What is the average day for you today? I want the scoop. What time you wake up? I want to hear the ins and outs. What happens with you?
Yeah. So I have a discipline that I learned that I have to wake up early every day. I have to exercise every day. My alarm clock's generally set for 5 a.m. that is.
But I had this conversation with Mike Deangelis. It's like, when does your day actually start?
Yeah, so that's a good point.
It's like, this is all the prep work before the day starts, basically.
Yeah, so, I'm a little bit different stage in my life. So I do enjoy my coffee on the couch.
I love it. It's puttering time.
Yeah, I enjoy my coffee on the couch. I do some gratitude stuff in the morning, which is something I started this year.
Yes.
And it's as simple as this morning I'm like I'm no baloney. I'm happy to be on Dan's podcast today. I'm happy to have the invitation.
Of course. Love it.
Happy to get a new loan. Happy to wake up. Happy to, had a safe, long ride on my motorcycle, the day before. So I do some of that. And then
Beautiful.
My coach has me for the last, 5-7 years. I read my one pager. That's what I do every single morning. It's a concept from Think and Grow Rich, which is basically, you read what you want to create. So I read my one pager, I have my coffee, and then I start to sketch out what are my priorities for the day. When I get up to the office, I lock them into my 333, which are my top priorities, what's the action I need to take, and who are the 3 people involved in that. And then my day goes.
Sweet.
And that's in essence what it is. And then, I'll take a peek in the garage.
Come on, he's a man. He's got to go in the garage. You got to see what's going on in there.
Yeah, make sure everything's polished up, ready to ride and drive. And
you seem like a guy that washes all your vehicles yourself. Are you that guy?
I have.
I feel like I feel like you just. I don't know. Judging by your character.
Yeah, I do. And it's my neighbors see me out there, and I'm like, I look at them and I'm like, this is therapy for me. Just leave me alone.
Everybody's got their thing, and I know guys at work. It's like I tell them I put my car through the car wash, and he's like, one of my coworkers goes like, no, you gotta wash your truck. You gotta. I'm like I don't have time for that. I'm obviously for him, therapy. It's a so you find your soothing moments and.
So it's a little bit about where I start, how I kind of structure the day a little bit.
Okay.
And then, I'm always looking for an opportunity to go to a little cruise in, so my wife asked me, and we're going on a boat Thursday night to watch the sunset. I said, well, there's a cruise in on Thursday night. That's what I would prefer to do.
Is this the part where you get yelled at?
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, not at all. So just kind of trying to balance that, and then boating on the weekend and hanging out at the beach.
I love it. And, obviously you are at a different stage in your life where you are in your retirement phase and that you have developed this company. So you do have these luxuries of making your own time schedule and all this stuff. But even some really key things, and people think it's corny and whatever the hell you want to call it. But if you really want to have success in any type of business, and I'm a firm believer in it, is waking up early. Right. And I think in your age, you don't have to wake up at 5 o'clock. You can snooze in, but you still do, because the mindset is forever there. I used to hate waking up early. Now I cannot wait to wake up early, because there's my crushing hours are after I do my ritual, which the gratitude lists. I'm thankful I woke up this morning. I'm thankful I have a roof over my head. I got a wife, my kids. I have running water. And people are like, oh, it's corny. It's not corny, because there's people out there that don't have that. And I'm very fortunate to have that. And I have those. If I'm thankful for those little things, the rest of my other things that I have in my life are just bonuses. They're just bonuses, and that's the way I look at it. So I do a lot what you do. And then from the hours, like I said, like once 6 o'clock rolls around, and I even did this morning, like 5:30 in the morning. And I know people hate me at work because I'm the one firing off emails at 5:30 in the morning, because I know I just want to get it done. But then by 11 o'clock, all my tasks, everything I need to do is just compressed, and then time. And then I go on like a downswing after like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. But I think really some key elements, but people need to find their groove. This is a groove that I've been hearing day in from so many people, and nothing but success from it. But it's with a plan, not just to wake up at 5 to wake up at 5. You wake up at 5 to exercise. You wake up 5 to write a gratitude list. And that's framing your mindset. What does Mike want to do today? How is Mike going to make his day better? What are the things that Mike is going to get to the next level, which I do want to get into? Where are we at? What is currently happening? Where's the growth? Where are we heading, Mike, with your company? And where would you like to, and to follow all it up, where do we want to be in 5 years?
Yeah. So Friday night last week, I signed 2 agreements. One with a SEO marketing company, and another one with a social media company. So I want to spread the word,
Yes, media.
Yeah. So I come to the realization that, I want to continue to grow, and that would be the most effective way to do it. So that'll be, from yesterday until probably the end of the year, pretty big focus. Lots of co-lender money that I put to work. Want to put the rest of my money to work in loans. Continue to grow the business.
How many deals we got running right today? How many you got running right now?
A lot.
We don't have a number. Do we have a number? 30, 40?
No, it's not that much. Yeah, it's smaller than that. Yeah.
It's incredible. Wow.
Yeah. It is amazing on the demand, as well as the amount of projects are out there. And I was trying to do the calculations, and I was actually talking with some people in the group about, like, if you break down the Long Island market, like about 10 to 15% of the homes that are here are actually going to go to somebody that's going to treat it like an investment, right? Which is, we were talking about that in one of the breakouts, about 10, 15%.
I should have stuck around.
Yeah, and we all got a lot going on, but we started to dive into that because I was interested. I kind of started to
jazzed up.
Yeah, I was jazzed up. I'm like, okay, what is our real market here, for investors? And then what is my real market for, like, funding, right? Like, where are we going to go with this? So, that's really what I'm looking at, is like, what's the overall market, and how much of that can I satisfy, right? Because let's face it, I mean, there's national people that would love to come into our world and call themselves, focused on Long Island, but they're in, San Diego, California, that don't know anything about our market.
We are a very special market.
Yeah.
We're a very unique market, and people don't understand, like, why do you invest in Long Island? It's crazy. It's expensive. Well, it is expensive, but you do make a lot of money here too. It's one of those. You're in the heart. We're an hour away from New York City.
Yeah, and
more or less.
Yeah, it's a thriving, it's a thriving market for sure. It's a flourishing market, and I am in part of the American Association of Private Lenders, so I get a lot of national insight from them. I'm also in a hard money lender mastermind group where people around the country.
You're cheating on us? You're going with other groups?
I mean, they're all about lending. They're all about lending.
But it's great. You're part of all these multiple groups, and you're just absorbing that, coaching, all the right check boxes. And this is the type, for me, as an investor, and you might not see it this way, but this is the way I view it as an investor. I want you to be my lender because that's the person that understands everything, also can help me with protection. And there's just so much more that comes with you than not just saying, oh, you need $100,000? Okay, it's 12%, blah, blah, blah. Give it back to me in a year. It just sounds like we got this whole entire incredible person in front of me that really is going to help you invest in this market or wherever it might be.
Yeah, and it's a great market. Because some of the folks that I'm, friends with, that I'm making friends with around the country, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they're flipping homes.
Are you across the United States right now?
I am not. The mastermind that I am.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'm focused. I want to be the Long Island.
Your backyard.
My backyard. I believe that I'm the only Long Island-based, exclusively Long Island focused lender doing what I'm doing. I believe that I'm the only one. There are lots of people that are here that lend here, but are also nationally focused or regionally focused.
Yes, but we're talking about an actual company, a private money company that you establish that is really just focused on Long Island.
Yes.
Every other company I've talked to is, we're in Philly, we're in Boston, we're in Florida, we're in here, but you are just...
Yep. So going back to my, just real quick, the folks in Milwaukee, they're flipping homes, $150,000. A home run flip for them, they're making $30,000-$40,000.
Yeah.
We're doing $500,000 deals here, a little bit more risk, but on average, I'm seeing people, making six-figure profits on, high six-figure.
My last refi on my last house was $85,000.
Yeah. So, we're talking about numbers that we're making in profit that they're selling whole houses on and making a third of the profit and maybe a quarter of the profit.
And that's why I don't like a lot of the national stuff. If you're going to work in whatever market it is you want to be here honed in. I want to ask you a question,
yeah, please.
And I hope you're not insulted by this question because it might be a little much, but how do you factor? So if you have, as owning a private money lending company, what is there a number? This is what I'm thinking in my head because I don't know how your business exactly works and financially wise. Is there a threshold where you cannot pass, where you cannot lend out any more money? So is there a maximum where it says I cannot lend out any more money because if things go south, I know I'm able to cover that portion? Or is this money that you're okay? Let's say you lost all the money. Like, would you be okay? Or if there's because I know you mentioned before, there's other people that you are mixed in with. So how do you factor something like that? I'm very curious about something like that.
So I scale slowly, right?
Okay.
So I scale slowly. I'm not looking to go from, 5 million to 500 million. I'm not looking to scale.
Slowly chipping away.
Slowly chipping away. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be is the loans that we're doing, like you said, about my average loan is $400,000. I'll do $400,000 loans all day long because if one of them we had an issue with, right? Again, I have a relationship, we're going to work through it.
Of course,
right?
100%.
But if we had an issue with, it is not going to disrupt my business. It's not going to disrupt my lifestyle. And, and I am super comfortable with that. If two of them if there was an issue with two of them, same type scenario. So I'm never going to I'm never going to say, hey, something, I'll do a
but there's a risk.
$2.5 million loan and take that level of risk at the size that I am right now.
Yes. So obviously it's risk mitigation, it's risk analysis. You factor those things in before before moving forward with anything, of course.
Yep. So multiple loans with multiple people at multiple stages in construction, multiple stages in the the flip process from purchase to sale, brings that mitigation down. When I am co-lending with other individuals, which helps me scale, it's the model that we're this group that I'm in uses nationally. I will always have my money in every single one of my loans.
Your actual money.
I will have my money, my family's money, in every single deal. That's how we operate. So I'm doing that for two things. First off, I want to make that money, put my money to work. And secondly, and really the most important thing is I want any co-lender that's with us to have that comfort level that, hey, I'm risking everything just like you. And I've done due diligence around this. We're with quality people that we know are going to do a really good deal and are going to execute, make Long Island a better place, with a better home, and we're all going to win.
That, man, what you just told me just really spoken volumes. Because like even when I hired Carl as my coach, was like, your money is my money. I would treat the money you're about to spend, Dan, is my money, and I would respect it in that same fashion. And then you actually putting your actual money on the line, it's a different level. You're not playing around with something else where it's like, I borrowed from another two people, and now I'm going to funnel it this way, whatever the case might be. But you have your actual money on the line, which speaks in volumes.
Yeah, I didn't start the co-lending process until I started really scaling, which was October of last year. So it's something that I knew the direction I was going to go. I have self-funded everything up until then, and then additionally, we'll always have a substantial amount of my own funding in.
So, we're getting towards the end, Mike. I really want to give you some room for opportunity right now. Is there anything you want to put out there for our viewers, or you want to give a message, what you're currently doing, how to, what would you like to put out there that's currently happening right now that you want people to know about? Yeah,
I mean, I'm a Long Island lender, focused exclusively on lending on Long Island. I understand the market, the co-pilot concept that we talked about. I'm super quick. There are lots of scenarios that you're not going to know until you get into them that you may need to close in a very, very quick time frame. Attorneys are here, the bank branches are all here, the money's available. Build the team up front and take the journey. I'm here.
You're the full package, man. You got everything all right here, ready to go. Man, quite remarkable. And before we sign off and close up this podcast today, Mike, for our viewers out there, I always try to ask my guests on here, I want you to deliver a message, whatever it is. If it's investing, if it's life, it's whatever it is. Tell it to my audience. What do you got? And especially you got a lot more life experience than me. So let's see what you got to say, Mike.
Yes, I do want to throw out my. I'll digress for a second. I want to throw out my Instagram handle, and I also want to give my website. So the website's pretty simple. It's equiquesthardmoney.com. My handle is mdeangelis12. On Instagram, I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn as well, but that's just by name.
You have a mailing list too, right?
Oh, I have a mailing list. Thank you.
Join his mailing list.
Yeah, just some inspirational things, some real estate tips on Saturday mornings. So you can either DM me on Instagram or go to my website and ask to join the newsletter. It's growing, and again, it's just a chance for us to. For me to give some inspiration and talk about real estate and to share some things. But my tip is, don't let fear paralyze you. Take action. And you need to take action based around a clear plan. And if you want any details on how to create a plan, how to, narrow down what your real true purpose is in life, and how to create a vision, I'd be more than willing to have a conversation with you about that. I was fortunate to have my coach teach me, fortunate to read a bunch of books on it, and I was fortunate to, like Dan, be able to implement some of these things and just have a great life. So more than willing to do that, and my message.
He gave you an inspirational message, and on top of that is offering literally life coaching help to kind of guide you. So Mike is just this complete full package. Mike, I cannot thank you enough. The amount of information you gave, learning everything about you today was tremendous. You're a very good asset of what you were able to do out here, and I hope you guys reach out to Mike because he's an incredible individual.
Great. Thanks so much for having me on.
No
I really
problem.
appreciate it.
And that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in.